Welcome to She Loves the Grid, where we discuss all things F1. Whether it's happening on the track, in the paddock, or beyond the grid, we'll talk about it all. And welcome back. Here we are to She Loves the Grid. I am Claire.
I'm Diane.
And here we go. So, what a race.
Well, I feel like the entire world asked for a much more exciting race than what we had in Japan. And it definitely delivered. Maybe the weekend was just okay, but Sunday,
that was a race. That
was
was
a
that
race.
was a race. I was on the edge of my seat, I think the majority of the race.
Yeah.
There was just so much going on. And I like that there was so much going on through the whole field.
Yeah.
There was excitement, there was overtakes, there were battles. I mean, the battles through the whole field. I was loving it. I was
Yeah.
absolutely loving it.
I agree. And I think there was, to me, I call it the bounce back, right? Big Sean, it's the bounce back. To see Lando get hit early at the beginning of the race with the 5-second penalty, and I thought, oh, there we go, and he just works his way back up. And then you think about Ocon, who crashes, and then in Q2, or what was it, end of Q1? When did he crash? Ocon. Anyways, he crashed, and then he gets into the points, right? Ollie starts P20, has a horrible qualifying, finishes P10. The bounce back was amazing this
Amazing.
weekend. Awesome. I
Amazing.
love it.
Yeah, and Yuki, let's okay, where do we start? Where do we start?
I
Because there's
know.
so much, it was so good.
It's
And
all
then there was some but I mean there was a lot of good. A lot of good. It's good. It
a
just
lot of.
shows this year is going to be, I think, just an amazing year.
Yes, I think Japan was a one-off, boring. I do think we're right back where we need to be, and that was just the middle race. We still have a race next weekend, so this triple header has been great, boring. Well, actually, no, boring, great, and then yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we end on a high.
Yeah.
Yay! Well, let's talk about Alpine really quick because they got their first points of the season
Yeah,
thanks
and
to
Jack.
Pierre.
Jack had so much better of a weekend. We've been so worried about him. We've been talking about him all year.
Yeah.
The ominous overtones starting at the beginning of the season with Flavio kind of warning Jack how he pretty much owns him,
Yes.
starting with the Netflix series.
Yeah, that was
I
fun.
mean, he did so much better this week, which
Yeah.
I'm so happy for.
Yeah, I am too. And he looked like he was running fairly high at one point in the race. And I know he fell back a little bit, but somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they said, he really is starting to come into his own in the car. And I think that is incredible because at the beginning of the week, was it the beginning of this week? And we were like, why is Franco doing the here's the track? So
Yeah.
Ferrari used to do this a lot last year. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but a little simulator run of the track. And I was like, I texted Claire and I said, is this a soft launch? What is happening? Why is Franco doing this? But all is good. All is good. And Franco did really well. But Pierre, well, both cars
Jack, you
did
said
great in
Franco?
qualifying and stuff. Pierre was on it.
Yeah.
Pierre did amazing all
They
weekend.
and great. And even with Jack, where he was at, I was just thinking as you were talking, Jack was in that middle field, right? The
Yep.
battle for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right around in that middle field was just fierce.
Yeah.
So to come back for such a horrible start, the first three races, and to battle so strongly with the people he was battling with in that middle field, just kudos. But yeah,
Yeah.
Pierre and
We,
points.
yeah, we love to see it for Jack and Pierre. He had points before, right? But he was disqualified.
Yeah.
So that race where both Ferraris and Pierre got disqualified. So they had 0 points and he qualified, looked great in qualifying. Both cars looked great in practice. And then Pierre just kept it steady all through the race. So good job, Alpine. I think they needed
Did.
that little bounce back. That's going to be our theme. The
Bounce
bounce
back.
back. The bounce back.
Need a bouncing ball
Um,
bounce.
I know you're so funny. You think that, and I'm like, I think Big Sean. You gotta listen to that song. It's great. It's a great song. Also, the bounce back this weekend, Haas. Haas, we talked about it briefly. Esteban crashed. Poor Ollie had a horrible, horrible outing in qualifying, and it's a double point finish for Haas. What?
I know. And here, remember that we came out of the first race and it was like, ooh, maybe we should have picked them. And you were questioning that they should have been like the worst team for the year. And
Yeah,
they're proving it wrong. I think they heard you and they just have to fight it.
good. I hope they heard me because Ollie is my favorite rookie, although there's some others quickly gaining. But I was a little bit worried because during preseason testing, they looked horrible in Bahrain. And then things weren't really going all that awesome, like in practice and stuff. And I thought, is it just this track? Like, is it
Yeah.
just this track? And they're not. And then the bounce back was king, and we got double points.
Yeah.
Like
And 10 places he came
10
back.
places.
That's
I
amazing.
Yes, I think he should have been, and I forgot to vote, but he should have been driver of the day. How do you start 20th, dead last, move up to 10th, your team gets points, double points, and you're not driver of the day?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It's
I
weird.
agree. There's going to be some fierce competition for rookie of the year just from this field because
Yes.
he's
Yeah,
he's killing it. That was amazing. Amazing.
he really is. And I love to see it. I love to see Haas. They watching them do interviews after the race, the drivers, the principal, like they are so happy. They are cloud nine, smiling ear to ear. Like it's just so fun to watch. I think they're amazing.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled to see them for all the struggles they've been through, to see them coming up,
Yeah,
and showing that it's hard work and perseverance pays off, man. You just got to keep at it, don't give up. And I
yeah.
love it. It's a great
I think
story.
it's great. And I think talking about struggles though, the bounce back that I thought was happening this weekend that did not happen, Carlos. He looked pretty good. I thought he was going to do really well. And then in the race, like it just, I mean, granted, Yuki ran into him. I think Yuki ran into him. Don't at me because Yuki is my global treasure. Carlos is my driver. But I mean, it was just
The
so,
damage to that car, ah,
that was awful. That was
that was awful.
absolutely awful. But I mean, I just thought that he was going to get back into the groove of things. I thought, okay, double points for Williams this weekend. And I don't even think Albon scored points, right? He was like in that DRS train. I think he was 12th or something.
Yeah, it was
But to
close.
have to retire the car, I mean, it just is continuing. It's continuing for Carlos. It's just not coming together yet. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I think we've said this a couple times, just as we're seeing Jack was getting better. Where I think it's the rookies and everyone who had to change cars. Even uh, Lewis is talking about like him coming into it and getting into the car and things finally gelling. Every we didn't see it last year because everybody was set. I mean, last couple of years, there's not been a lot of change between teams and drivers and whatnot. So we've got people that not just rookies that are coming into their own and going from F2 or F3 into F1 and having to learn a new system, a new car. You've got drivers who spent years knowing one system, one car, one steering wheel, the strategy, the team, the engineer. And so there's
Yeah.
so much change. And from a car like a Ferrari, even though it had its struggles over the years, down to a Williams. I mean, there's a lot of change that he's having to go through as well, and
Yeah.
different mindset, and that's a lot. So it's tough, and I know it's hard for him too to go from a high performance situation to an up and coming performance. And I would imagine he's got a feeling of the legacy behind Williams on his shoulders too,
Yeah.
knowing James has brought him in to complement Alex to help bring this up to this legacy team again. So it's got to be a tough situation to be in.
I think it does, and I think it's just as tough that he knows what the car is capable of. We can see what Alex is doing with the car. He has had definitely moments where, it looks like he's dialed in and then something happens.
Yeah,
And so I think that's got to be so frustrating as a competitive person and, and a driver to be like, I know what this car can do. Like, I just need to get it there and get it there consistently. So
I agree.
it will take time. This was just the fourth race. It seems like the season has been way longer. and 4 races.
Like
So
four
it's just
races,
the fourth race.
20 more to go, right? So we got a
Yeah.
lot more, a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more to go. We have a lot more to go. And don't forget, because I keep seeing people like, I think on one of our posts, was it last week? And people kept saying like, oh, McLaren's got the or the constructor wrapped up. It's McLaren, it's McLaren, it's McLaren. I'm like, do you people not remember that we have a change starting in Barcelona?
Yeah.
And supposedly, allegedly, Red Bull thinks that McLaren's going to struggle with that. So nothing is set in stone. We're 4 races in. We can see what's happening with the world driver, the WDC, like we've got Oscar's won his second race of the year. Like there's a 3-way battle right
Yep.
now, pretty tight one. So anything can happen.
Anything
This
can
can go a
happen.
lot of different ways. A lot of different
A
ways.
lot. A lot. I
A
think
lot.
everything is up for grabs this year.
Yeah. Yes. Ferrari, just real quick, I don't think we have to spend a ton of time. They had a new floor that they brought this weekend. And one thing we haven't talked about is all the rookies, I don't know what we called them, the junior drivers that all did FP1. There were 6 teams that had junior drivers in because you reminded me that there are 4 times that they have to use junior drivers this year than the usual 3 that we are used to. So they actually weren't going to put the floor on Charles' car because I think it was Dino was driving his car in FP1, but I think during that session, they did end up putting the floor on the car, I guess to get more data. I thought they didn't look too horrible. I think Lewis wasn't super happy, I don't think, with his car, and Charles had mentioned still don't really have the pace, but at least he was right there, right
Yeah.
there. He just didn't have the pace at the end to keep fighting Lando off.
Yeah, and it sounded like Lewis afterwards. I saw an interview that he's happy to see that it's improving, and that he needs to get where he's more comfortable and improving. So, um, different sound from Lewis this year than last year. So I feel he's more introspective on himself and getting accustomed to Ferrari and the car and whatnot. And you could tell it's like after years and years of being at Mercedes, and because he was more attuned to the car and whatnot, and it was more, I think, I don't want to say blame, but more issues with the car. And now he's focusing more on himself, I feel, and him getting used to the car. Like there's a
Yeah,
little more focus to himself than the mechanics and the car itself. So
yeah,
it's just a little more balanced, I think, now, but it makes sense because he knows he's not as comfortable with that car. And he has his own skill that he has to adjust to and learn and whatnot, which just shows. I mean,
yeah.
that's the beauty of F1. It takes a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's a really great point for him. Like I kind of forgot last year he was definitely complaining. It was the car, the car, the car, the car, the car. So yeah, that totally makes sense. One thing during the race, I was how many, you might know the answer to this. How many penalties did Liam Lawson get? Was it
Oh,
15 seconds or
I think
more?
so. I think it was 15. And I was wondering too, I should have looked it up before we started recording, like how many were there? Because the FIA transponders were having all kinds of issues, right? All through the weekend, we were getting delays because we saw the delay on Nico's lap time being deleted. Was it Nico's?
Yeah,
Yeah. And other things throughout the weekend, there seemed to be some oddities. And then during the race, we saw the issues with Russell's car and the transponder. We can get to that. But I kept wondering, was that another penalty or was that just a delay notification, an alert coming up? But then he ended up so far back.
yeah,
It's like, well, I guess it was additional penalties. I'm like, this is not a way to prove yourself. If you are continuing to do things, you're
right.
showing yourself being a bully. You're being too aggressive. You're like others are not having these issues, Lawson. Come on, you need to race cleanly to prove yourself, you
Yeah.
know?
I just thought, I think I had texted you at one point during it because I was like, wait, why does he have another one? Did he run into somebody else again? They were all for causing a collision. And I
Yeah.
started laughing here at my house because I was like, he's the new Ocon. Because that's been the meme, it was like somebody runs into a 5-second penalty for Ocon. That's been the whole joke. And I'm like, oh, I think now it's going to be 5-second penalty for Lawson. he was just racking them up yesterday. Just
Let's see if he can beat out, was it K-Mag last year that had like 30 or 35 seconds in one race? Let's see if he
yeah.
can beat that.
Don't tempt him with a good time. He just might. He just might. But it was not a great race overall for the V carbs. Like Lawson he just hitting running into everybody. And then poor Hajar, he tumbled down at the beginning and it just never seemed to get any better after that. Poor guy. Like Liam
Oh,
finished in front of it. Well, after the time, I don't know, but
no,
I
he didn't.
thought,
I think at the end he got
okay,
the
okay.
slower.
Yeah, just not a great race for Isaac at
No.
all. Just time to just we'll leave that race behind us and move on to the next one for V car because it did not go their way. It wasn't the bounce back that they were hoping for at all. At all. Okay,
No.
so I made notes here. So let's talk about who were we just talking about a second ago? You
Oh,
said
Mercedes, yeah, and Russell.
Mercedes.
So yeah, so like Kimmy, started off I thought fairly well, and then he slipped back, right? And
Yeah, they
it was a
screwed him
tough battle. It
over.
was just really a tough battle in that middle, and it just, he got pushed back a bunch, but Russell, that was the one that just it got me. I was getting a kick out of it because I watch, F1 TV on my TV, and it's about 45 seconds delayed off of what shows on the app on my phone. So, and I'll
Oh,
have the live timing on the phone just because that's where I get to see what could go back and see what was the penalty for, that kind of stuff. And I try to ignore it because it's 45 seconds ahead or more real time. But what was funny is that they they turned the timing off on the screen when they get started having that problem because when they said, I know Russell's not showing up there, but look, here's the screen, here's the video, he really is in P2.
yeah.
And on the app, it kept going, he's in P2, and everybody would shoot down a space. And then as soon as he'd go up there, he'd go boop, 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 go all the way down. And then he'd shoot up again and then go back down. And they kept talking about, like, well, now we don't have DRS and it has to be done manual. We'll have to give you a code. And they're like, okay, now this isn't working. So all kinds, I'm
Yeah.
like, the car is falling apart as
Yeah.
he's driving it around the track. And I love his comment, well, as long as the steering wheel doesn't come off.
I know he could totally be shady like as he's driving. But I mean, they did say to him at one point, if you lose your dashboard, just keep driving as normal. Like, okay.
It's like, oh my gosh. So when they said the DRS opened, I thought it has to be an electrical issue. He's having issues. And I loved how he just answered it in the media right after. I'm like, I guess he's confident in it because he didn't even check with the team before they'd gone to talk to the stewards. It's
Yeah,
like, I pressed the radio button and the DRS opened
yeah,
and I backed off. He's like, so I lost time, not even worried about it. So he didn't get a penalty for it. So he kept his P2. But that is crazy. Like, what happened to that car that it was just like the what it was transponding, all the electrical was going nuts, and he still was able to pull off the P2 anyway.
it was amazing. I'm glad if that's the case, I'm glad they didn't give him any kind of penalty after the fact. Like, that's not on him. And if he backed off, if like DRS opened and he was smart enough to be like, oh shoot, and then back off, like causing himself to lose time, then for sure, like
Yeah,
he made like a change for that. He changed what he was doing.
right. And I
So
think that's where he got it because I could see them giving a penalty if he took the advantage because the car is part of the part of it, right? You've got to have a working car, you've got to have the car's part of it, the strategy, the driver, right? But since he saw it and said, "Ooh, I'm going to gain an advantage if I do it. This is wrong," and he backed off, and he did not gain an advantage, right? It's kind of those things too. I think that when they look at the penalties, if a driver goes off track, if they don't gain an advantage, that's where I think sometimes you don't get that penalty. Yeah, he went off track, but there was no advantage gained, right? But if you go off track and gain an advantage, and you don't give up your advantage, then you get a penalty. So I like seeing that kind of logic applied to the penalties versus Carlos was 5 seconds late to the national anthem and he gets charged 10 grand because
yeah,
he had to take a crap and it was a medically thing. Like, come on,
yeah,
like let's
yeah,
use some logic here. There was,
yeah.
decorum, logic, advantage, that's what we were talking about. The FIA is being a little too, unfair and not using logic. That that had some logic to it. Yes, and I do love Mercedes. So, but at the same time, if it had been Max, I would have been okay with it had it been, logic applied to it.
Absolutely. But I mean, honestly, like George just killed it the whole weekend. He was so on it. He qualifying, practice was looking good, and he held his own in the race. He did great. No errors as far as I recall. So great
Good
weekend. And
clean.
that's another podium for him. He wasn't on last weekend, but that's what his third podium this year?
Yeah,
Is it his third podium? Yeah.
I think it is.
I feel like it is. Because I think twice he kind of was just right there and slid in.
Yeah,
Hi, George. Hi, it's me. It's me, George. So his third podium out of 4. Great. That's
yeah,
amazing. And Kimmy, I blame the pit wall because they screwed
yeah.
that poor kid over. The horrible strategy on his first coming into the pits. Like, why? He came out behind everybody. And then he just was on this weird schedule of having to come in, and he got stuck in that DRS train that you were talking about earlier, the 9, 10, 11, 12, or 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it was. He was just in there. And so his whole like pit schedule completely off. So I don't think that was representative of Kimmy at all. I think they screwed up his strategy and they just could never get it back again. They messed that up for him, which
Yeah.
stinks because he wasn't in the points at all, right?
No, I don't think he missed it. I think
No.
he ended up P11. I think.
So his first race as a rookie,
Yeah.
race 4, 3 races he has points is when he doesn't, but that's not on him, in my opinion. I think that's on the pit wall. But McLaren, we're back to McLaren is Oscar, in my opinion, is determined to continuously the entire year be in the conversation for WDC. He has a mission this year, and I think he wants that so bad to the point that they were teasing, like, oh, the team's gonna party, double podium, da da da. He's like, no, I have a race next weekend. I have a race next weekend. I have to think about that. Like, he is locked in mentally, and
Mhm.
he is going to do what he needs to do to get that WDC. So they're going to have some unique issues this year.
And it's a good point because he's staying focused, and Lando came out of it saying like he screwed this up, and Lando is consistently making little errors. Like every week, he keeps making little mess ups, but those little mess ups are costing him big time. Starting, they asked him, how did you start outside the grid box? The box at the beginning. Oh, just a little slip up, and he had started right, but then he lunged forward right before the start. Like,
Yeah.
dude. That's
Yep.
101. Like,
And
come
Max
on.
called him out.
Of course, Max
Max on
called
the
him
radio.
out.
He is such a tattletale. It just
Such a
makes me laugh
tattletale.
because I swear he was laughing. Like, Lando's outside of his box. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, well, Max, he's such a tattletale. He really is. But I think it was just a hard weekend overall for Norris. Like, he did say at one point, like, he feels like he forgot how to drive. I mean, we have those weekends. I think he's unnecessarily hard on himself because he's just making it harder for himself. Like, he was on the podium, but he had to work extra hard to get on the podium because he was making those little errors, right? Like, he's starting outside his grid box, he's doing all these little things, and so you have to work twice as hard to get back to where you probably would have been if you just didn't have that.
Yeah, because he didn't qualify that well. If he'd qualified better, if he didn't have that 5-second penalty, if he hadn't passed on the outside and had to give the place back, like there's all
Yeah.
these little ifs. He
Yeah.
may have ended up P2. He may have ended up being able to pass Oscar. Like you
Yeah.
just never know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's a good point you bring up too. I think he is being too hard, and he's that extra pressure that he's giving himself may be causing him to screw up even more. So he needs to meditate it out, get some Zen, man.
I know.
You know.
It's so interesting to me because I feel like that's kind of the vibe that I get from him is, he seems to have good people around him and his family and all that kind of stuff, but he has always, since I've started watching F1, he is very, very, very hard on himself. It's like he doesn't give himself a break. And I understand that elite athletes will be hard on themselves, right? But I think he takes it to like this next level where he's almost berating himself and then gets in that mindset, like you were saying, like where it's just so negative. And then again, now he's got to work harder to get past that. I love Lando, but I think he needs to give himself a break.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It is a long season. Just try not to make the little mistakes.
Yeah.
They add up.
Yeah. I think the only other thing that for the race that was interesting for me, and I know we've got it in your notes, so I want to call it out because before we wrap up, was that safety car because of the debris. That was like, I don't know. There's a lot of talk, I think, on it, how it affected or could have affected or did it affect the race and whatnot. Lando was just convinced that Oscar was going to lap the race. Could he have if they didn't have the safety car? He did have good pace. It was interesting. It was very interesting. But what I thought was kind of cool for Lando in the top of the field was that safety car came at a great time for all of them to pit.
Yeah.
I mean, what a neat
Except for
streak.
those that had just pitted like Kimmy.
Yeah, exactly.
That did not work out well. But I mean, here's the thing. There was a lot of debris. I'm assuming that was all the stuff off of Carlos' side pod. And you could see shortly after that, I think it was one of the Aston Martins had to like change their line to go around it so they didn't run over it. But it doesn't seem like it should be an actual safety car, like a virtual safety car. Everybody slows down. We get everybody, and the marshal runs out, gets the stuff, runs back. Like I do not understand why we had to have the actual safety car.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision. What I thought was the play out was, the commentators are like, "Ooh, that's a lot of debris. That could cause some problems with the tires. That could blah blah blah." And not long after that, we got the safety car. And I was thinking back, I can't remember what race it was last year that they chose not to take the debris out, and
Yeah,
they commented on it, and then
yeah,
it caused a big issue. And I'm like,
yeah,
somebody heard that and thought, "Oh, we better act fast." So did they
yeah.
overreact this time because they underreacted last year?
I mean, I feel like it's just common sense. That stuff last year was a lot and it was right on the racing line. Like Botas was the one that ran over it, right? And then like it shattered into a million people. Like, and so to me, it's just common sense. Yes, that was directly on the racing line. We should have taken care of that. This for at least one of the Astons who was up high, I'm trying to think of the track because it was kind of around a curve, but I mean, you can slow it down. You don't have to have a whole safety car. I honestly thought, and I think even in the cool down room, George said he thought about challenging Oscar when the safety car, and I think it was Lando who said, "Why didn't you? Why didn't you?" He's like, "I just want to play it, I want to play it safe." Like, so George was nursing those soft tires, right? Like he
Oh
was on
yeah.
soft tires for forever. So I get that, but yeah, I don't know. It just seems like common sense. It wasn't a lot. It was there, but we could have resolved it with just a virtual.
Yeah, one of those logical things, like what's the reg? Isn't there
Yeah,
some kind of thing that says, if there's this, then we do this? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I'd
yeah,
love to see their process. I'm a process person. I would love to see, the flow chart around how do we make the decision of when we put a virtual car versus a full car? What's the level of debris?
yeah,
Does it have to be so far within the racing line? How do we make that decision? I would
yeah.
love to be a fly on the wall on that one.
Exactly. Maybe they don't have a flow chart. Maybe that's why we get some people with penalties and some not, and virtual safety cars and full safety cars.
I'm
Like,
happy to help them come improve their process.
yeah. Before we end though, we do need to talk about Red Bull because, well, even though Yuki tore up Carlos's side pod, he actually got points. So double points for Red Bull, which I don't remember the last time that happened.
Yeah, I don't either. And that was I saw today a thing showing the recording of them giving Yuki kind of a pep talk or like a nice kind of feedback at the end about how, hey, you got us points. That's good. Good. Keep
Yeah.
pushing. This is a good progress.
Yeah.
I was like, awesome. Way to like cheer it on. And Yuki's like, no, I could have done better. Like, great, but you got us points, dude.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
you
But
know
I
the
love
block. You
that.
got us points.
Yes, and I love that Yuki is like, I could have done better. This is his second race in Red Bull. Let's not forget that. Like, this is his second race. He, I think he was a little back and forth, but yeah, you got points. We haven't had that for a while. Like, so it's just gonna hopefully get better from here with Yuki. Max struggled a lot. He was not happy with that car. He's not been happy with this car. And I know you saw some stuff after the race.
Yeah, I've saw a couple
What's
more
going on?
reports on it today too, that supposedly Max's manager was seen charging at Helmet and giving Helmet a piece of his mind, like going at him very sternly about the performance of the car and giving Max a chance to win.
Yeah.
And Helmet was just taking it.
Yeah, I saw that. And then I just saw a quote today where some reporter asked Helmet, is he concerned about like the car going forward, but also with Max? And he said he's very concerned. That's not exact quote, but he's very concerned. And I think that internally, I feel like things are not great. We've already heard rumors of like Marco's got to go or Christian Horner's got to go, all the stuff from last year. Max.
Supposedly there was emergency meetings in Bahrain. There's emergency meetings last week too. There's all kinds of there's some stuff like there's a lot of people who can speculate, but to hear it from multiple sources, and it's the same kind of, we heard all the sources about the change of drivers and it happened. Starts to make you think there's some major rumblings going on. And
yeah. And we know Joss hasn't been happy with the leadership or the car since last year. I mean, he was very involved in the Christian Horner, allegations and speaking his mind. And he spoke his mind a lot about the car. Max, I think, has agreed with his dad on different things that his dad has talked about. And now this year, Max has won one race, but he wasn't really anywhere around this weekend. I mean, he passed, who did he pass at the very end? He passed, was it Pierre? He passed Pierre at the very end. So he doesn't give up because he's super competitive, but this is not what they're used to the last several years. Not at all.
No, because Max stayed comfortably right ahead of the middle sector, right ahead of the middle section. Like we didn't see much out of him. Like there wasn't a lot of focus on him. His car wasn't shown. He wasn't talked about. He just wasn't a feature of the weekend. And that's not good for his sponsors. That's not good for him,
That's true. Good point. Very good point. And I do think, I honestly feel like at this point, when Max says he can take or leave racing, I think he enjoys it, especially when the car is really performing. But I definitely can see him walking away. And Helmut
That's when that baby's born.
Well, I was just going to say, so Chatty Cathy, aka Helmut Marko, this week kind of spilled the beans on approximately when the baby is due. And
I missed that.
Oh, I was like, that's not cool. Chatty Cathy, again, he needs a minder. He needs to not be allowed to speak to the media. But he did say something about it's not a race weekend, or it's not around a race weekend. And it's I don't even want to say it because if somebody didn't see it, but it was, if somebody wanted to dig deep, they could be like, oh, this is when Max's baby is due. And he's such a private person. I would be ticked. I think I'm a private person. And if somebody had said that to the media, not your business to be talking about, first of all, but now I have to be concerned about my partner and my baby. And okay. So I just think things are not good over at Red Bull at all. No. And do you notice who we did not see popping up on our screen every 2 minutes?
Yeah, because they're not doing well. He doesn't want to have space seen if they're not doing well.
Yep, exactly. So we'll see what happens.
We'll do it. So next week,
Jeddah. Yay. I got to do a post about that. We'll do a little preview, what you need to know about Jeddah.
Yeah, I think everybody enjoys those. Those were helpful. So hopefully it's another exciting weekend. So
I know, I really, really hope so. I love these kind of races where it's just nonstop action, nonstop all the way through, except for the Sauber's at the very back, but everybody else.
Yeah.
So good.
It was good. All right. Well, we'd love to hear, everybody subscribe, share. Let us know what you thought. What was your favorite things? What would you not like? Who do you predict? Let's start the conversation. We love it.
Yes. Agreed.
That's about it. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and a review. To stay up to date with She Loves the Grid and get all the behind the scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at She Loves the Grid and on Facebook at facebook.com/She Loves the Grid. Thank you for joining us for the ride this week.